Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. The last few moves of Yunxiao's elusive waves Heavenly Sutra technique were as fast as lightning, so fast that Jin Xian and the others could not even catch his afterimages. Finally, the pill was formed. A round pill spun in the air, emitting a surging pill fragrance and a warm light, making people want to swallow it. Mo Huayuan was dumbfounded. Even he could not have done Yunxiao's last few moves in one go. It was a divine skill. The entire room was abnormally quiet, not a single sound could be heard. Yuan Gohan's voice rang out in the Divine Realm tablet, and he sighed, "So it's you. You're not dead, Gu Feiyang." Yunxiao's body trembled, and he knew that the other party must have seen through something. He smiled awkwardly and said, "Old Yuan, what nonsense are you spouting?" Yuan Gaohan didn't care about his cover-up and continued, "That explains it. No wonder I always felt that you were unfathomable when I met you in the outer realm. From the age of your human cauldron, it seems that you are only 10 years old. If you really have such an achievement, then countless geniuses since ancient times will feel ashamed of themselves." He thought Yunxiao had seized another person's body. "Why are you so sure that I'm Gu Feiyang?" Yunxiao smiled. Yuan Gaohan said, "The basic technique of the 12 styles of flying flower and falling snow. Even if my main body were here, I wouldn't be able to perform it better than you just now. Also, I've tried the final few moves of the elusive waves heaven scroll art, but I couldn't do it in one go. However, you've displayed them in such a marvelous way. Don't you think it's very similar to the sentence he said when he was forging the sword to cut the stars in the Sea of Soul formation?" Yunxiao smiled wryly. He could not think of so many flaws. After all, the other party was also an extraordinary person, and it was indeed difficult not to be seen through after a long time of interaction, so he simply admitted it. He smiled and said, "Now that you've exposed my identity, aren't you afraid that you'll never be able to leave this place?" Yuan Gohan's expression was full of bitterness. "I finally understand now. You said that you would let me go after recovering your strength, but it turns out that you want to recover to the peak of the 9 heavens. Even if I didn't expose your identity, how could you let me go with the great secret of the Divine Realm tablet? Only when you return to the peak of the martial supreme realm, with this saint weapon in hand, will there be no more worries in the world. That will be the time when I regain my freedom." "Old Yuan, don't be so sad. Anyway, you're cultivating in the starry sky outside the universe, and you're also cultivating in my Divine Realm tablet. Besides, it's good for everyone to have more exchanges. Don't you want to participate in the restoration of the Divine Realm tablet?" Yunxiao encouraged. "Do you want to give up?" Yuan Gaohan was silent for a moment before he said, "Actually, if you go to the sacred zone and find my main body and let me return to my main body, I'll be willing to repair the Divine Realm tablet with you. After all, this kind of opportunity doesn't come by in any era. You don't have to worry about anything. Furthermore, my main body is here, so I'll have a greater chance. But I still hope it's safe," Yunxiao said with a smile. "I'd like to play it safe. The holy region was a place where one might not be able to return. With the two of us, it's not difficult to repair the Divine Realm tablet. After all, I have the Great Realm Divine Technique. There are hundreds of ancient scriptures in a divine art. Don't you want to comprehend them? Don't even think about going back. I won't let you go before I return to the peak of the martial sovereign realm." Yuan Gohan's heart trembled. When he thought of the Great Realm Divine Technique, his heart burned with passion. "However, your body was taken over. The lifespan you can use is very limited. It's impossible for you to return to the peak of the martial emperor realm. You should be very clear about this." "Don't worry," Yunxiao said. "I didn't possess this body. It's my own." "What?" Yuan Gaohan raised his head in shock, his eyes filled with shock and confusion. Yunxiao shook his head. "I don't really understand this myself. Let's put it aside for the time being. We'll talk about it after I've dealt with your disciple." His soul form disappeared from the Divine Realm tablet and returned to his body. Yuan Gaohan fell silent, his face still filled with shock, unable to accept the current situation. Yunxiao grabbed the pill in the air and held it in his palm as he looked at Mo Huayuan, who was dumbfounded. Master Mo, which of the two pills is higher in quality? Jin Xian and Xiao Xuanzi were extremely nervous at this moment. They discovered that these two 4-revolution true pills were actually supreme-grade existences, and their appearance and fragrance were almost identical. All three of them, including Wu Chen, found it very difficult to understand how Yunxiao could refine a pill of the same quality as Mo Huayuan. Mo Huayuan, on the other hand, was dumbfounded. Jin Xian and the other two could not tell, but he knew very well that the quality of his 4-revolution true pill was slightly inferior to Yunxiao's. With his strength, he could have refined a stronger quality, but due to his lack of combat experience, he had made mistakes one after another. If Yunxiao had not reminded him in the middle, he would have lost even more miserably. Although he was unwilling to accept this match, he was sincerely convinced. "You've won, I've lost," he said bitterly. Mo Huayuan had lost? Jin Xian and the other two were instantly petrified, as if they had lost their consciousness. They couldn't accept this fact. "Master, how can you lose?" Little Xuanzi said anxiously, "The quality of these two pills is about the same." His heart was filled with anxiety. Mo Huayuan's admission of defeat would be a great blow to his reputation. Mo Huayuan shook his head. "In terms of quality, this master's is indeed superior. If it wasn't for this master's reminder during the entire process, I'm afraid I would have lost completely." A strange look flashed in his eyes as he raised his hands over his head and bowed to Yunxiao, saying respectfully, "Mo Huayuan is willing to accept his loss." After witnessing Master's amazing skills today, he finally realized that he's just a frog at the bottom of a well. He's a laughing stock. His bow made Jin Xian and the other two even more uncomfortable, and they felt extremely uncomfortable and awkward. Yuan Gaohan was silent, instead nodding with a smile of relief. Giving him a blow after reaching the 8th step would be extremely beneficial to his future growth. Moreover, this person's identity was actually Gu Feiyong, so he was worthy of his bow. Yunxiao naturally accepted the bow and said, "It's just that I've been single for so many years, so my hand speed is fast." Jin Xian asked Wu Chen in surprise, "What does being single have to do with fast hand speed?" Wu Chen's face was slightly red. He said awkwardly, This. I'm not very sure." Her forehead was covered in cold sweat. Mo Huayuan lifted his body, his face filled with desolation as he laughed bitterly, but a golden light suddenly flashed in his hand, and the cold pearl dagger on the table appeared in his hand, and he swiped it across his neck. Bang! Yunxiao flicked a finger and knocked the dagger away. A look of surprise flashed across his face as he said with a smile, "You know I'm fast, but you still want to commit suicide in front of me?" "Master." Little Xian was shocked, and hurriedly ran forward to pick up the cold pearl goo that had fallen to the ground and hid it. "Master, what are you doing?" Jin Xian and Wu Chen were also shocked. They looked at each other and didn't know what was going on. Could it be that he couldn't accept the outcome of just one win? Yuan Gaohan was also stunned, and then anger appeared on his face. Mo Huayuan raised his head in shame and anger as he glared at Yunxiao and said, "I lost to you, so I have to follow your orders. However, I can't violate the agreement between me and the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, the only option is death." "Master Mo, with your status and your master's status in the Holy Region, is there anything in the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce that can threaten you?" Jin Xian was shocked and cried out. "You would rather die than help me?" Her heart continued to sink. "Don't ask anymore," Mo Huayuan said dejectedly. "Just kill me," he said to Yunxiao. "I can't help the Purple Cloud Trade Union." Yunxiao frowned slightly. After pondering for a moment, he sneered and said, "You can't even beat me, so how can you help the Purple Cloud Trade Union? You don't have to worry about this. I have something else I need you to do." "Other things? You really don't want me to help the Purple Cloud Trade Union?" Mo Huayuan was in disbelief. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, his expression darkened. "I also don't know anything about my big brother." Yunxiao had a headache. This was one of the things he had planned to ask, but when he saw Mo Huayuan's look, he gave up and said, "If it wasn't for Yuan Gaohan, I really wanted to beat you to death with my hammer. Forget about all this, you just have to help me teleport to Yufeng City." "You know my master?" Mo Huayuan sized Yunxiao up in disbelief. Although he could not believe it, he was also a little suspicious. After all, an alchemist who could cultivate such an outstanding talent could not be a nameless person, so it was very likely that he had met his master. At the thought of this, his attitude toward Yunxiao softened. "To get to Yufeng City, we have to go through the long-distance teleportation formation of the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce or the Big Dipper Sect. It's not a difficult task for me. I promise you. When are you leaving?" At this moment, he could not wait for Yunxiao to leave as soon as possible, so that the bet would be completely invalid. Yunxiao pondered for a moment. When he saw the anxiety on Jin Xian's face, he said, "In a few days. There's no hurry anyway. Other than those two matters, as long as I'm in Southfire City, you must listen to me on everything else." "Of course." Mo Huayuan nodded. "I, Mo Huayuan, am a man of my word." After saying that, he looked at Yunxiao's mocking eyes and blushed. "It's because I've promised the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce. I can't do anything." Yunxiao did not bother to argue with him, but he could tell that the Purple Cloud Chamber of Commerce was indeed in a very dangerous situation. The Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce had made up their mind to eliminate them, and they had thought of all possible situations and cut off their retreat. Judging from Mo Huayuan's situation, the Purple Cloud Trade Union seemed to be in greater danger than she had imagined. Jin Xian's face darkened. The three of them left Mo Huayuan's residence in silence. Jin Xian and Wu Chen's faces turned even uglier, and they were no longer as casual as before. There seemed to be an additional layer of estrangement between them, making them look very reserved. This was perhaps the only thing that the two women were happy about. With Yunxiao's skill, he would definitely be invincible in the alchemy competition held by the Chamber of Commerce. "Jin Xian, don't show such a bitter face, or you'll get old easily. We are friends after all," Yunxiao said with a smile. "I'm not used to you being like this." Jin Xian forced a smile and said bitterly, "It seems that this disaster is inevitable. I only hope that young Master Yun can show his power in Songwei City and keep Tianyuan Trading Company's position. In this way, the Purple Cloud Trading Company will have a chance to survive." She said to Wu Chen, "Immediately pass down the order to gather all the businesses of the Chamber of Commerce and cut off all the losses. Try to recover as much capital as possible. This time, we're doomed to lose. We'll try our best to preserve our strength and hope that Dong Mountain can rise again with the help of Tianyuan Trading Company." Wu Chen shed 2 streams of tears and said, "Guild leader, it's all my fault for being useless. I made a mess of Southfire City's affairs and didn't even have a friend who was willing to help us." "The world has always been like this," Jin Xian sighed. "There are many who are willing to add flowers to the brocade, but there are few who are willing to send charcoal in the snow." A sorrowful atmosphere lingered in the hearts of the two, and they could not help but shed tears. Yunxiao could not stand it anymore, so he said with a smile, "Do the two of you need to be so sad? Bring me all the recipes of the Chamber of Commerce's products, and I'll help you improve them within 3 days. I'll definitely beat the new shop." "All the recipes in 3 days?" "In 3 days," Wu Chen said, "if we can get more recipes for our core products than the ones for the Sky Crane Trading Company, we can still survive for a while until the situation at Tianyuan Trading Company stabilizes." The Sky Crane Merchant Association? The name of the new Chamber of Commerce? Don't worry, it's just a sock puppet that the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce has put forward. All you need to do is provide me with a large number of Starlight Stones and Primordial Stones, Yunxiao said with a disdainful smile. "I'll get it done in 3 days." "Starlight Stone?" Han Xian asked in surprise. What did young Master Yun want that thing for? "It's not a precious material." "The more the better," Yunxiao said with a smile. "Give me as much as you can." Yuan Gohan's voice came over, carrying a trace of displeasure as he angrily said, "Gu Feiyang, don't tell me you want me to do the hard work and improve dozens of recipes for them in 3 days? They're all low-level recipes, Yunxiao said through voice transmission. You can change them with a few casual glances. Don't you need starlight stones? You can see that I'm very poor. If you don't help, how can I help you? Yuan Gohan's face turned red with anger, but he had nothing to say. People under the eaves had no choice but to do hard work. All of a sudden, little Xian caught up to her from a distance, took out a storage bag, and handed it to Jean Xian. He kept bowing and apologizing. Sister Jean Xian, I was insensible before. Please be magnanimous and don't lower yourself to my level. After apologizing, the kid ran away without waiting for Jean Xian to say anything. After Yunxiao defeated Mo Huayuan, he did not dare to take Jean Xian's things anymore. They were like hot potatoes, so he finally made up his mind to return them to her. Wu Yan was annoyed. This kid is too slippery. He's so snobbish at this age. Yunxiao smiled meaningfully. He is Yuan Gohan's grand disciple, and this is passed down from generation to generation. Perhaps Yuan Gohan likes this kind of thing. Bullshit. The first thing I'm going to do after I get out of here is to get Huayuan to kill this brat. Yuan Gohan said angrily. This kind of scum can't be left in this world. Little Xuanzi's life and death were decided by Yunxiao's teasing words. Jean Xian also felt helpless. Shaking her head, she took out 3 golden jade slips from her ring, and after a little hesitation, she handed them to Yunxiao. A golden light rose from the jade slips and then dissipated. These are the recipes for all the products of the Purple Cloud Trade Union. They are very detailed. It was originally a priceless treasure, but now it's equivalent to trash. Every chamber of commerce had its own main products, which had been carefully studied and improved by countless generations of alchemists. They were the most confidential and precious treasures of any chamber of commerce. Jean Xian had also added a spirit sense mark on the 3 golden jade slips, which could be destroyed with a thought. Yes, don't worry. We'll get the results in 3 days. Go and prepare, Yunxiao said. Give me starlight stones and primordial stones in 3 days. As many as you can. Just do your best and don't affect your normal operations. I still have some things to do, so I'll take my leave first. His long robe fluttered as he strode away. Looking at Yunxiao's departing figure, Wu Qian was a little worried and said, President, is this person really reliable? Such an important alchemy recipe, even if it can't be compared to the Sky Crane Business Council now, it can still be sold for a sky-high price if it's spread. With his strength that can defeat Master Mo, why would he need to covet our recipes? Jean Xian shook her head with a bitter smile. She had no other way now, so she could only trust Yunxiao. However, she did not believe that he could develop all the improved recipes in 3 days. She only hoped that he could improve the core products so that the Purple Cloud Trade Union could last a little longer. After the 2 of them left, Yunxiao handed the 3 golden jade slips to Yuan Gaohan. Although Yuan Gaohan was extremely reluctant, he knew that he was already in the same boat as Yunxiao. Only by helping him with all his might could he have a chance to get out of here as soon as possible. Furthermore, all the cultivation resources from now on the Starlight Stones could only be provided by him. Yunxiao was now the richest pauper, with a body full of shocking treasures, but he could not even take out a few primordial stones. He soon returned to the inn where Mei Dong was staying, only to find that the place was empty. There was only a piece of paper left on the table, on which he wrote that she had returned to the Big Dipper sect and that he would definitely fight for the opportunity to use the teleportation array, so Yunxiao could wait with ease. Yunxiao pondered for a moment, and the note burned under his gaze, turning into ashes. Then, a green light flashed in his hand and a strange stone appeared. It was the green nether stone that he had extorted from Liang Quan. The quality of the stone was indeed not very good. After observing it for a while, Yunxiao held it in his hand and gently shook it with his primordial energy. Immediately, countless cracks appeared and began to peel off layer by layer. Soon, after nearly 2/3 of it was peeled off, another color, like brass, was finally revealed. Yunxiao's pupils constricted as he immediately saw the material of the yellow core. It was by no means brass, but copper and gold, which were more precious than nether stone. After the entire copper and gold was stripped off, it turned out to be a doll the size of half a palm. Yunxiao was taken aback. He did not expect that there would be such a thing inside. When he scanned the green hellstone with his spiritual sense, he felt that it was strange. This doll was obviously placed there by someone and was definitely not created by heaven and earth. He studied it for a while and seemed to have discovered something, but he was unable to grasp the main point. After some thought, he directly threw it to Yuan Gaohan, while he sat down and started cultivating. Yuan Gaohan was now his personal alchemist, so he did not need to be polite. The next day, Yunxiao opened his eyes and disappeared from the room in a flash, heading in the direction of the Big Dipper sect. The Big Dipper sect's intersect competition was an extremely grand event in the entire Southfire City.